Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our start of the 2022 school year. Sunshine notice in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, laws of 1975. Adequate and electronic notice of this meeting was provided through the public notice on January 12, 2023 by emailing to the Huntington County Democrat and the Express Times, posting on the district website and the main bulletin board in the district office, filing via email with the clerks of the following municipalities: Alexandria Township, Frenchtown Borough, Holland Township, Kingwood Township, and Milford Borough. The call to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attendance. Mrs. Culberson? Here. Mr. Delisle?
Here.
Ms. Zelfig?
Here.
Mrs. Gaspari?
Here.
Ms. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Sidney?
Here.
Mrs. Oldenburg? She's sick. She's out. Ms. Campbell? Here. Do the presentations, administrative staff presentations and reports. Mr. Hayes?
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all on a restful summer. As our students and teachers make their final preparations for their first day of classes on Wednesday, August 30th, we've already begun to kick off the 2023-2024 school year. Today, we welcome the staff back for their first of a two-day in-service. On Monday, August 21st, Del Val had its first ever leadership summit, a conference for the captains of our sports teams and officers of our clubs to meet and receive training and share organizational goals for the upcoming school year. This will be followed by monthly meetings with the purpose of planning and developing inter-club and inter-athletic events. On August 22nd, we formally welcomed our freshman class to Del Val through the Oasis Orientation Program. Freshmen were able to hear from staff and upperclassmen about pertinent information about the student and academic life in order to prepare them for their first year at high school. On August 23rd, we welcomed our new staff with our new teacher orientation. These individuals received information on our school and expectations for our staff. On September 7th, our Back to School Night program will take place. Parents are invited to attend to receive information about the 2023-2024 school year and meet their child's teachers. Our fall sports programs have been back practicing for the last couple of weeks, and their seasons are set to begin soon, starting with our football team's season opener to be held here on Friday night, August 30th, against Abram Clark High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Friday, we'll have a public hearing on amendments to the business administrator's contract for purposes of a business services subcontract agreement with Holland Township Board of Education. So, you going to speak with that? Are you going to speak with that on that stuff?
I think we just need to share this information.
Okay.
So the question is, anybody in the public want to address the subcontracting proposal for the business administrator's evaluation?
Does anybody in the audience want to address the business administrator's contract amendment? No? All right. We're going to move on to this one or not? It's a resolution.
Do you have it as a separate personnel item or is it actually right here?
It's right here on resolution.
So
we have, yeah,
we
we have a resolution to amend the business administrator's employment contract for subcontracted business services effective July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. And then A2, resolution to enter into an agreement with Holland Board of Education for subcontracted business services effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Okay. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Actually, two questions.
I'm sorry, did you have any discussion? Yes.
I have two questions.
Sure.
So the stipends trust or Scott, that would be, if there's stipend work to be done, facility work to be done, that would be within those 8 hours, is that correct?
No, that would be outside of the,
If the contract doesn't say that.
right, so the original contract that was proposed to the county was to kind of, I had proposed an hourly rate for any time over and above the 8 hours, if that would be necessary. They suggested an alternative for stipends for a couple of different areas, so we had agreed on those couple of areas that may be in specific need beyond the 8 hours time.
I mean, I'm in favor, I just don't know how you're gonna do that with Norman without impacting Del Val, but we'll see how it goes through the year, I guess. And then the contract only stipulates that you're gonna use your phone for your personal phone for Frenchtown and Delaware Valley, but I assume you're gonna use it for Holland Township as well, even though the
Yes,
contract
yes.
doesn't say that.
In accordance with the contract, if her work is impacted in a negative way that we find difficult, we don't have to wait the full time, the full year. We can give them 60 days notice and an opportunity to fill the position with someone else, and then we can be released from the contract. Anyone else? Any other questions, concerns? All right, we'll move, do we have a second?
We did.
We have a second.
So
On the resolution, vote on the resolution.
resolutions A1 and
Right,
A2.
A1 and A2. Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Ms. Elphie?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaspari?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Oh, yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Sini?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell? Yes. All right, at this time we have public comment. In accordance with the bylaw number 016, public participation in board meetings, residents are invited to respectfully share their concerns, comments, and suggestions. Just pulling up our statement. Just give us 1 second, we're just pulling up the statement. The board will at this time respectfully hear comments from the public. Public comment is an opportunity for the public to comment on the agenda items and to observe the board conducting the business of the board. It is not an opportunity to dialogue with the board. Public participation shall be governed by the following rules. A participant must be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface comments by an announcement of your name, place of residence, and group affiliation if appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address the question the board members individually. The board pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act shall not publicly discuss personnel matters and shall not respond to comments made by the members of the public. Please be aware that any person employed by the Delaware Valley Regional High School District Board of Education retains the right of privacy and shall retain all rights regarding defamation and slander according to the laws of New Jersey. We recognize that everyone has the freedom to speak, but advise you that anything said in public may have legal ramifications. There is no protection regarding statements made by the public. All right, thank you.
Alright, cool. I'm going to just share a couple folders to everyone's some general information. So, my name is Justin Bagley. I'm a resident of Alexandria Township. I have 3 children in Alexandria who attend AMS, or newly formed AMS, a rising 8th grader, 6th grader, and 2nd grader. I'm here tonight to represent the young women in our community and discuss something that I'm really passionate about, girls wrestling. It's time to put girls wrestling on the map in our area, and frankly, we are overdue. We've had interest from girls over the years, but not provided them the resources they deserve. Thankfully, that's been changing this year. At the youth level and high school level, we've been promoting and providing girls in our community opportunities to experience firsthand why wrestling is one of the fastest growing girls sports in the country. From summer clinics and tournaments to the first ever girls wrestling clinic held right here at Del Val this past week, where we had a great turnout. put out a petition earlier this summer asking the local community if they would support girls wrestling being available at the high school level here at Del Val, and we had over 450 supporters. This coming wrestling season, we'll have girls only practices at youth level. That's the first. There's a group of brave young ladies at the high school level who will be part of the first girls wrestling team at Del Val. It sounds like a dream come true, but that's the thing, it's only a dream, because these ladies will need to be wrestling as part of the boys wrestling team. A hoop they shouldn't have to jump through, yet here we are. Girls wrestling is now officially a New Jersey NJSIAA sanctioned sport. After years of competing as an extension of boys teams, without any real organization of team dual matches, girls wrestling was officially voted by its member schools earlier this year to become its own sport with its own team tournament and own regulations. At our school, girls will still have to compete as part of the boys team in order to be recognized and compete. Girls should not have to shoulder the heavy burden of wrestling in high school without support and girls-only competitive opportunities. This is why we're here tonight, to introduce ourselves and see this meeting tonight as the beginning of a great relationship as we work together to put the resources in place in the near term to provide girls in our community the resources they deserve to fully participate in this amazing sport. Things like a recognized girls wrestling team and paid coach position. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you all in the future.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we will move on to agenda item 5, board goals and evaluation calendar. If you want to address this.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I'm excited to kick off the new school year with our students and staff. The summer has been full of planning and preparing for the arrival of our students, and I have to thank our buildings and ground staff and technology team for their work to have the school ready for student arrival on Wednesday. My administrative team has been hard at work planning and preparing for another year of continual growth and development. This work included curriculum development, professional development, programming, goal setting, data analysis, and the development of student assessments. This work will allow us to hit the ground running and get to the work of teaching and learning with our students. We have received some of our assessment data from last year's state testing, and we anticipate that we will have the rest of the data shortly. We should be able to present our assessment data at our September board meeting. I'm also pleased to share that the district is piloting membership in a smart social as a tool to provide support for our families in the ever-changing world of social media and technology. This on-demand resource will allow the district to support parents and staff members to have an up-to-date understanding of social media platforms and covers a wide range of digital and social media topics that we feel are relevant to our students. The overarching goal is to partner with our families in a proactive effort to keep our parents informed and our students safe on social media. Stay tuned for more information on how to access this powerful tool. Our agenda this evening supports the final appointments that allow the district to start the school year fully staffed and ready to go. This is no small accomplishment in our current educational climate. We have updated our organizational chart to reflect the addition of Dr. Gilbert, our new supervisor of security, safety, and student conduct, who was appointed back in June. She has hit the ground running and has already been a positive contributor to our safety protocols for the upcoming school year, including the preparations for the newly required behavioral threat assessment and management team that is required throughout the state. We have also updated our virtual remote instruction plan as required by the Department of Education. Finally, I wanted to share the proposed district goals that are being recommended for adoption. These goals were developed in collaboration and consultation with the board committees and the administrative team. They reflect our desire to continue driving student achievement forward and developing a school that we can all be proud of. The first goal is a top priority for the district this year. The development of a 5-year strategic plan will help focus and align our work to build a roadmap forward. This plan will help prioritize our ambitious goals and support the successful implementation of our action plans and strategic deployment of our resources. There is an addendum recommendation to accept the proposal to work with Dr. Brian Zukowski and Kane University as consultants in the development of this plan. Following the approval of this contract, we will create and share a timeline for launching this process with surveys that will engage the entire school community and and provide the board and administrative team with data to support priority and goal setting. Our second goal will be foster improved articulation with our sending districts and partners in education. Dates have been established to facilitate this process, and the district superintendents will collaborate on plans to set agendas that evaluate our progressions in mathematics, reading and writing, as well as opportunities to connect our programs. This is another goal that presents numerous logistical challenges, but district leadership is committed to working together on this worthy goal. Finally, we have committed to further developing best practices related to teaching and learning at Del Valle. We have an extremely talented and dedicated teaching staff. As an instructional team, our focus will be on thoughtful instructional planning, enhancing student engagement, and creating relevant, authentic learning experiences. Instructional time is a finite resource, and therefore it's imperative that we maximize our time together so that our students can reach their fullest potential and are prepared for life after Del Valle. I'm really excited to work with these goals with our staff and, of course, our students this year. It's going to be a great year at Del Valle. This concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you. All right, we have action items. We have a motion to move on 6-1 through 6-6. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second? Discussion? Questions? Roll call?
Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Ms. Elfin?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaspari?
Yeah.
Ms. Borden?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Sini?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes. Agenda item 7, School Business Administrator Board Secretary, Ms. O'Brien.
So we're back to our regular meeting schedule, and our next meeting then will be on September the 25th. The bills review will be done by Mr. Simony, so we will schedule a time for you to come in and do our review. Just a reminder there about the New Jersey School Boards Convention from the 23rd to the 25th. And also, I also wanted to mention as part of my report, something that Mr. McKinney has communicated to you about the trees on our property and in our wooded area, and the danger that has, we've identified in that area. The Operations Committee has not had an opportunity yet since we've identified this problem to have a discussion about that, so I wanted to bring it to your attention in my report. We have taken precautions on the property to close off certain areas in our wooded area. The reason for this is the number of ash trees on our property and the problem that the entire state and beyond is experiencing with the dying off of these trees due to an invasive insect. So we have sent precautionary emails to our students and our parents, and we have closed off pathways and identified them as, do not enter here, to protect anyone from going into those areas that may not be aware that there can be a danger. Also, our cross-country cross-country course typically would go through the woods. We have rerouted the cross-country course in order to, keep our students and students that are visiting our school safe from this danger. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. We do have some proposals that came in late today just to give us an idea as to what those costs might be to have those trees removed. We had a professional come in and look at it for us and give us some professional advice. The Operations Committee and then along with Finance will determine what the best course of action will be in the coming months.
I have a question on the new cross-country course. Is
Ellen.
it marked so that those folks that have a desire to run the cross-country course that are not a student of Del Valle can do so? Is it marked?
I believe so. When I was speaking, they were identifying how they were going to put the posts and there's,
There's a lot of community members who come up and either walk it or run it.
So the trail's obstructed now. The trail is obstructed now.
Yeah. Yeah. There's fencing with the danger sign where the trail was, but you're concerned about the new trail.
Yeah, I want to
And
know,
whether there's,
like, if I come up to
a
the guy
guidepost
for a
about
run,
where the new one is.
would I know
Yeah.
the new one?
I believe so.
You can check on that. Any other questions or concerns? Okay?
Oh, I do have another one, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Believe me, I don't want to keep this here all night. Teresa, I have completed my governance 4. Have you gotten a record of that? I did it in April.
Yes.
You got that?
All right. Then we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes on 8.1. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or concerns? Discussion? Vote? Roll call?
Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Ms. Elphick? Yes. Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Simony?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes. The Operations Committee, Mr. Simony?
All right, the Operations Committee, we met on August 14th. The paving project in the front is complete. The house demo is finally complete. I think we've been talking about it since January or before. Grass is growing there. We had a general discussion on whether anything we put in that place. Previously, we had mentioned months ago the idea of a maintenance building in that place, but minds were kind of changed, and I mean, there was no decision made on it originally. But if we ever can approve a maintenance building, it'd be better suited behind the school for both practical use and aesthetics. The idea of a field house was brought up to provide bathrooms, concession, and for spectators and locker rooms for players. And then we had kind of an open discussion on what a building like that may cost and how it could be funded without impact to taxpayer dollars. But nothing was moved along for board info. We talked about the E101 kitchen renovations for the life skills room. That project's moving along and will be completed by mid-October. Summer maintenance and cleaning, transportation stuff, and technology updates are all standard preparation for the new school year, and it's all on track. We had some food service updates. A lot of work was being done to update the point of sale system to include federal and state free and reduced lunch programs. And at that point, the current system may or may not be able to be compatible, and this whole system may have to be upgraded or replaced. That's just kind of the informational items.
Okay.
And on the action items, I need a motion for 9.1 through 9.6, please.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
and a roll call.
Well,
I'm sorry,
first of all, do you
discussion?
have any discussions
Yep,
or-
discussion.
I know you were talking about maybe some new building projects, but I think that we need to consider at this point now, we have this situation with the trees that we're going, it's gonna be pretty expensive. We're gonna have to consider that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Prioritize.
nothing, yeah, like I said, nothing moved along with any of the building projects, they're all just discussions.
Anything else? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Mr. Simony?
Yes.
Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Ms. Elphick?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
So I have a question on Frank's report, or maybe it's more for you, Scott. So that where the building was, will there be available parking for spectators for our fall sports?
Right now, we don't believe so. We're trying to figure out the best way to, perhaps use that for handicap parking, but we need to control that, otherwise early drivers are just going to park in that space. So I know Mr. Jacobs and Mr. Stang were talking about our football games and how to best facilitate getting people in that spot, which should be those spots.
Right, so I guess that would be what, handicap parking?
Yes.
Finance Committee? Ms. Culberson?
So we had a Zoom on August 14th. The three main things that we talked about was, we put through tried to get some money back from the state in the extraordinary aid. We applied for $539,000, but we got $330,000 back. Sorry. So we only got 71% back on that. But that can't be used for anything, no restrictions on that. Our audit was the third week in July, and we were going to apply for a tree grant for $25,000, and that we'll know the outcome of that in September. Is there any way we could use that for, or is that for specifically planting new trees?
Yes,
That's what I said.
it's just that the tree grant was specifically for planting new trees. And actually, you were considered higher points with the eligibility to receive the grant if you were able to plant as most trees as possible with the money that you were receiving. So there's like a ratio that they were looking at. You can use it to remove some trees, but they're looking for more planting. And that grant's already been submitted before we knew.
Good idea, though.
Yeah.
Maybe we could ask if they would consider it.
We might be another one.
That's a good idea.
That was it.
Sorry. Anything else?
No.
Okay, then, do we have a motion for action items 10-1 through 10-21?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I had a question. So Teresa, the extraordinary aid amount, the 71%, was that anticipated? Did you think we would get more or less?
I was expecting that we would get more. The trend has been, even in the governor's goal, was to fund that pot of money. And each budget address, we hear that there's more that has been allocated towards that fund. So, and in the past years, we've probably gone, at one point it was probably about 50% and kind of went up. Last year we were at 95. So to go from 95% down to 71 was a little unexpected.
Yeah, what were we gonna do with that money that we can't do now?
Because it's so volatile, it's not an amount of money that I actually budget as a revenue, so it helps us to, identify different things in the school year that, may come unexpected, that we can, don't get ourselves in a financial situation. So, it's right now, most of it is not designated. There is a resolution to, move it from the surplus, because it's recorded in the fiscal 23 year. So move it from the surplus into the 23-24 budget. You can see the line items there on 10.11 that have been identified. But besides that, the $284,000 on the last line is essentially the amount that's undesignated at this point, that can be transferred to other accounts, and if not, it flows through the fund balance for the following year.
And we are still working on approaching legislators regarding the money that we'd like to get more of a refund of, let's say the 60%, the money that they took away from us, and hopefully get more. We'd like to get 100% back, and we made that suggestion, and we will continue to see if we can attempt to get them to, or convince them to return more of that money because of the extraordinary expenses that we face at this point in time with limited resources. Yeah.
What is 1020, Teresa? Why do we need this? We do this every year for health consulting, for health insurance and risk management.
So we haven't done a formal request for proposal process in several years for these consulting services, and it was just, it's under my recommendation that we do that at this time.
They'll come in and do, what do they do? I don't know what,
They submit a proposal
for the health
for
insurance?
risk management services.
To be a broker.
To be a broker.
To be a
right.
broker of
Okay,
record,
that's
yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah, it's for broker of record, not for actual, like, carrier, health insurance carrier.
And then on 10/21, I noticed that Mr. Stang's meal total is less than two other employees that are going on the same dates, same duration. Is that correct? It's not an oversight?
It is an oversight, it should be, 241.50. I'll make that correction, thank you.
Mr. McKinney's was 172.50 as well, so I guess that's not.
Okay, that one's one less day.
Oh, one less day.
Anything else? We'll do a roll call vote. Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Ms. Alford?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaspari?
Yeah.
Ms. Gordon?
It would have changed the, yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Simony?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell? Yes. Agenda item 11, negotiation committee, Ms. Gordon? Nothing to report?
No.
Okay, we move on to agenda item 12, personnel committee, Mr. Delisle?
Sure. We met on 8/21, and some of you may remember a couple of years ago, we developed a tier system for how our club advisors are compensated, and that was based on a couple of different things that were included in a rubric. So Mr. Kays, Mr. McKinney, and the association met about just sort of evaluating that after year one of it, and they've decided that they're gonna revisit it every 2 years, and advisors will be given feedback every year, and they'll be kind of told like how they're trending, right? Is that accurate? And then at the end of the 2 years, they'll reevaluate the tier that each club is assigned. So we discussed that. We also discussed the updated organizational chart that now includes the new supervisor of safety and student conduct. And we also discussed the shared service agreement for Teresa with Highland Township. And that was pretty much it. So I'll move items 12.1 through 12.30.
We have a second motion?
Second.
We have to have it first.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you move it?
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Mrs. Gaspari? Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Ms. Elphick?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Simony?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes. Agenda item 13, policy committee, Mr. McGuire?
I was absent for that. Could I defer to Mr. McKinney?
Yes.
With one item?
Sure. Yeah, we only had one item we reviewed and are proposing the first read of the substance abuse regulation. It's really very minor changes to align with both the policy and the code of conduct. And ultimately, the changes are put in place to get the students who may need help, the help that they need with support from the school and the parents.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the first reading, 13-1.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion? Roll call vote on R5530.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Mr. Simony?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Ms. Elphick? Yes. Mrs. Gaspari?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes. Agenda item 14, education and student affairs committee. Mr. McKinney?
We discussed a number of items. Mr. Kays shared an update with the code of conduct with the committee, and also the process to change final exam exemptions to be more of a senior privilege as opposed to available to underclass students. We discussed what Mr. Delisle spoke about with the club salaries and the process amending that process to be more functional for the district as well as the club advisors. Mr. Gurr shared the very preliminary student assessment data, the data that was available to us, and we also shared that with the rest of the board members. We hope, as I mentioned earlier, to have all that data for a presentation in September if we have all those reports from the state. He also shared a summary of the new courses that were previously approved to be part of the program studies and now have been written over the summer, and we're excited to launch those moving forward. I shared information about Smart Social and that platform and tool that will hopefully be a benefit to our families and keeping our students safe. We had an update on the student manor, and we had a discussion about the wrestling program and the process by which we can move forward in a direction to and timeline and work together with the community in that point, but it was a preliminary discussion. We also discussed the district goals and a couple of the other action items, including continued participation in the German exchange program and accepting several homeschool students participating in our extracurricular programs.
Okay, action items, we have a motion, 14.1 to 14.3. We move second. Mr. McKinney.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll move.
okay.
I'll second.
On 14.3, we don't need to identify them as, because I was gonna actually ask what this motion was until you just said it was homeschool. Do we need to identify that in the motion?
The names of the students?
No, that it's homeschool, 6 homeschool students?
So,
Because I didn't know that I was gonna ask, why are we saying 6 students?
I think you're correct.
so I think that the motion should reflect that the 6 students are homeschoolers who, pursuant to the board's policy, are being permitted to participate in extracurricular activities. Yes.
I'm going to amend the motion accordingly.
I have a question on the, your discussion on the girls wrestling program. Is it appropriate now, or should I wait till after the roll call?
Well, we can discuss it, if it's an agenda item, if you want to discuss it.
So, Mr. McKinney, is it, we went through the whole policy thing that we ultimately voted down on new sports. Is this considered a new sport, or is it an existing sport and we're just adding a girls?
That's part of our discussion and what we have to talk about in our student affairs committee meeting as far as moving forward, you know, which direction we want to go and how do we transition to best make this happen and support all of our students. You know, and as you've heard me speak before, you know, most of that is built upon student interest, right? And making sure that we have programs that meet the student needs, all of our students. So, you know, we have to balance all of that and look at the participation numbers and have those discussions and see how we can, you know, move forward to best support all of those students.
And it was unclear when Mr. Bagley spoke earlier, but are the matches at the same time, do you know, or are they at different times?
I honestly don't have
Don't
that
know.
information.
And do we have any information on relative costs yet on starting up a program? You can kind of infer what a coach would cost, but
Right, and I've asked Mr. Jacobs to look at, you know, opportunities, you know, there's all the categories, right? You have the equipment, you have the coach, you have the space, but that's kind of negligible because of the infrastructure that's in place, but you also have transportation and then potential matches, tournaments, officials, and looking at those opportunities. So you need to have big scope, you need to continue the discussions. I know this family has been working with Mr. Jacobs, and we'll continue those, you know, that dialogue and that communication. We have to weigh all of those things and gain some support for that and, you know, figure out next steps.
great, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I had a question about the final exam change. I would like to hear some more details and also the rationale for making this change, because I know that for, I don't know, decades, Del Val has had something in place, this system, that if you have a 90, right, at the end, in all 4 marking periods, you don't have to take the final exam. And as far as I know, that was a great motivator for a lot of students, and my daughters included. And I'm wondering why we would mess with a good thing and limit the number of students that will benefit from whatever the new system is going to be.
So we looked at it, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hirsch, you're the resident historian now, and I'm not. But I think that this was a relatively new change to expand to all grade levels, relatively speaking. The discussions we've been having, you know, instructionally is, what purpose do final exams serve in general? Are they beneficial to students as they prepare to go on to college beyond Del Val? Are they valuable in that format? Are we missing out? So when we give exams to students who don't earn those exemptions, are we losing valuable data as instructors to know if we did a good job teaching the material and having those things? And what we determined was, if we are going to exempt high numbers, are we really giving away too much instructional time at the end of the year that could be used in the classroom, or are there benefits to these exams? And right now, we believe both of those things to be true, that it's a good experience for our students to participate in those and to earn those as they progress through into their senior year. But we also believe that there is valuable data to be collected so that we can evaluate our instructional process and compare between sections and among, you know, are we accomplishing those standards and those goals? That's the purpose of this. And yes, it's, you know, certainly there's students who would most certainly not want to take their exams, but we also think that there's value in that experience.
So I'll just follow up to that. My experience has been that Del Val gives a ton of quizzes, a ton of tests, like every week, constantly. And I think that we probably test our kids too much in a lot of situations, and we don't do enough things like writing essays, making presentations, coming up with other interesting, innovative sort of assessments. And I think that you can get a lot of that data through the unit tests that they take, other assessments. And is the new system going to be tied somehow to the standardized tests? I know that a lot of times we're not super happy with our test scores, and JSLA, for example, and other standardized test scores. So are those scores going to somehow be connected to this new system? If you achieve a certain proficiency on a standardized test for New Jersey, is that going to exempt you then as a senior for your final exams? Because one of the things that we see in high schools across the state is that the kids are not motivated by these quote unquote high stakes exams, and they don't try, and then that skews the data as well. So,
And I don't mean, I'm sorry.
yeah.
But that, we had that discussion as well. We're exploring using that as a motivational tool so that we are getting, hopefully, our students' best effort, regardless of, you know, if they are earning the 90, offering that exemption to those students who earn that through the state assessment. So and looking at being able to correlate, right, those scores that are happening in our classes with those scores that are happening on those state assessments is a valuable practice, you know, and you need to look at that over time, kind of a bigger data set to, you know, because the smaller the data set, the more volatile it'll be, but that'll tell us something too if these things are correlating. You know, are we assessing the same standards that the state is assessing?
I guess my overall feeling is that we're taking away some of the students' motivation by taking this little carrot from them. And how are we going to replace that? it shouldn't, I mean, okay, so it's just for the seniors, that's good for them, but we still have to worry about the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors too.
I understand. We had that discussion.
Just as a follow-up on that too, because I generally feel that kids need less testing, not more. But I'm also wondering how much input you've had from teachers on this change.
That was discussed with the teachers through the supervisors before we made that change.
What is the general consensus with the staff?
They seem to be very supportive of that.
Anyone else? The roll call vote?
Ms. Elphick?
Yes.
Mr. McGuire?
Yes.
Mrs. Culberson?
Yes.
Mr. Delisle?
Yes.
Mrs. Castberry?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Sini?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes. Agenda item 15, public comment. Bylaw 0167, public participation in board meetings. Residents are again invited to respectfully share their concerns, comments, and suggestions. Does anyone wish to speak? Please be guided by the rules that we have read
I've
already.
never spoke. Do I just stand up and speak, or do I?
Your name and residence.
Hi, Tracy Prouty, 176 Boards Road. I'm here today to talk about the culture of the school, specifically in relation to the smoking and tobacco use policy. I would like to make it clear, I do not think smoking or vaping is okay, nor do I believe children should be able to smoke or vape on school property. That may seem obvious today, but when I graduated Voorhees High School, we actually had a smoking lounge. We've come a long way in 30 years, and I'm guessing we are all aware of how addictive nicotine is and how problematic vaping is becoming amongst our teenagers. In my opinion, companies are actively recruiting our young with flavored vapes and cool dispensers to get them addicted. This troubles me greatly, and unfortunately many of our teens have fallen victim and are now addicted. According to the Addiction Center, nicotine is among the top 5 most addictive substances on earth, along with heroin and cocaine. The National Institute of Health, as well as the National Institute of Drug Abuse, both agree addiction is a health problem, and further go on to clarify that imprisonment, or more importantly, punishment, are not effective ways to treat it. Scientific research since the mid-1970s shows that treatment, like counseling, is far more effective in changing attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors toward drugs. What I am stating is not new information. In fact, it is widely accepted. Which brings me back to your tobacco and vaping policy. I am respectfully asking each one of you to ask yourselves, what is the point of immediately losing your partner privilege? There is no other behavior in the student handbook that carries this type of severe penalty. None, including arson, assault, or quote, any act that poses an imminent threat or harm. Students can have a pattern of cheating, bullying, profanity, vandalism, disrespect, and still drive to school. In fact, every infraction has a graduated course of punishment severity if behavior doesn't change, except for smoking. Why? This makes no sense. Furthermore, I would argue driving to school is not a privilege. It is an important step in maturity. It is these small incremental steps that we all take that help us develop into mature adults. When you take away driving to school, you take away this important step. Can you all remember what it felt like to get your license and that feeling of endless possibilities? Do you remember how important and mature you felt when you drove your own self to school? I do. How about how liberating it felt to leave early or come in late? That feeling reinforces that adulthood is around the corner and you best prepare yourself for that inevitability. Why are we so willing to remove this important step? Is there any evidence that this is actually preventing the behavior you're trying to alter? To reiterate, I believe students should not smoke or vape on school premises. And I believe, like all rules that are broken, there should be consequences if they do. I am asking that like every other infraction, vaping or smoking have a graduated consequence. It is unfair for it to have any other way. I am also asking that you remove the permanent removal of parking privileges. All this consequence accomplishes is disenfranchisement with the school, and more importantly, it impedes the maturity and responsibility you foster in this school. When you have so many resources that you can use that are more like treatment and less like punishment, why wouldn't you? The science is clear. For these reasons, I am asking you to immediately review this policy and make it in line with the other policies of the student handbook. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Jana Wilson, Alexandria Township. Looking around this room and including myself, I know there are at least 5 Del Val alumni that are here tonight. I graduated 31 years ago, and at that time, Del Val had the same policy regarding final exams as they do now. So when I was a freshman, as long as I got a 90 in all 4 marking periods, I didn't have to take the final exam. It was a motivator for me. I believe it was a motivator for my husband, for my friends, and definitely for both of my daughters. I currently teach in high school, and gosh, maybe about 5 years ago, there was a really deep conversation about the point of midterms and final exams, because there's definitely a big course direction at the college and university level. And one other problem that I don't think was discussed maybe tonight, maybe was discussed in the meeting, in the committee meeting. You know, with the final exam, I mean, you're not comparing apples to apples. If there is a final exam in college for a course, right? Because courses are semesters long, not years long, not entirely long. So would you have a midterm, and then would you have basically a second midterm as the final, or are you talking about cumulative finals? If this is all done in preparation for college, right, college readiness, well then there shouldn't be cumulative final exams for year-long courses. Again, a lot of schools have gone away from midterms and final exams because it takes away from instructional days. So instead of having all of those days at the end of the school year that are devoted to final exams, they could actually be devoted to instructional days if you did away with them. But Del Val has had the incentive of a certain grade to maintain a certain grade point average. So I don't know if there was some type of hiatus a few years ago where Del Val didn't have this policy, but definitely when I was in school, it was in effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Leanne Temple from Kingwood Township. Real brief, same kind of concerns about the moving forward with the not having an exemption for the final exams. Just want to make sure like why that's becoming a thing to explore. With my own children's experience, it was highly motivating for them to have that reward for their efforts throughout the school year with what they were learning, to be, not having to take the exam. And then also keeping in mind, like, what are other schools doing and what are colleges looking for, like how this crosses over, if it's worth looking into or not. Like, again, I don't really value standardized testing greatly, so I don't know if this is to match up with standardized testing or, what you're figuring out, but I think, I think Mr. Delac said about formative assessments, what you take throughout the coursework, you're seeing what your students are learning and what they can bring forward in the quality of their work. I don't think one final exam shows you as much as what you can provide students with instructionally, different opportunities to show their learning and show their growth. Like, I just don't see that exam as the be-all, end-all that really shows you the full student and what they're capable of doing and what they know. So, you know, just keep that while you're looking into this further. Look at what other area high schools are doing that are high achieving, and look at what colleges are doing, because it doesn't affect my students because they're seniors right now. But just, I think that's something that was an incentive, not that they worked for, but it was like a nice reward for your hard work and dedication and independence of taking care of your own studies along the way, rather than that final summative piece demonstrating that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? And we will close public comment at this time. Agenda item 16 will be executive session. I don't believe we have an executive session for tonight. All right, then we will go to adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. Second? Show of hands. You're adjourned.